12 things to eliminate from your life immediately, Stoic lessons for freedom. Most people carry invisible weights every single day. Not physical weights, but emotional ones. Unnecessary stress, toxic influences, doubts, fears, and habits that slowly drain their energy and destroy their inner peace. The Stoics believe that freedom isn't something you search for in the outside world. Freedom is something you create by removing everything that weakens your mind, your discipline, and your sense of purpose. And today, we're going to break down 12 things you must eliminate from your life immediately if you want clarity, strength, and real inner freedom. Some of these things you already know you should remove. Others will surprise you. But all of them have the power to transform your life the moment you stop allowing them to control you. So listen carefully, take notes if you need to, and choose at least one of these 12 things to eliminate starting today. Small changes create powerful results. The Stoics knew this, and soon, you will too. And before we dive in, if you appreciate deep Stoic lessons like this one, make sure to like the video, leave a comment with the one thing you're eliminating starting today, and subscribe so you don't miss the next powerful lesson coming soon. Now, let's begin. Eliminate 1. Toxic people. One of the fastest ways to destroy your peace is to stay close to people who constantly drain it. The Stoics understood that your environment shapes your mind. If you surround yourself with people who complain, gossip, manipulate, or sabotage your progress, you eventually become like them, even if you don't want to. A toxic person doesn't have to attack you directly. Sometimes, they harm you simply through their energy. Their chaos becomes your chaos. Their negativity becomes your negativity. Their lack of discipline becomes your excuse. Marcus Aurelius warned. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And the thoughts of the people around you slowly become the thoughts inside you. Stoicism doesn't tell you to hate toxic people, it tells you to limit the access they have to your mind. You don't need to fight them. You don't need to argue with them. You simply stop giving them space in your life and in your attention. Protect your peace like it's a precious resource, because it is. Remove toxic people, and you instantly remove half of your problems. Eliminate 2. Overthinking. Overthinking is one of the silent killers of inner peace. It keeps your mind trapped in a loop of endless questions, imagined scenarios, fears that don't exist, and problems that haven't happened. The Stoics warn that the mind becomes unstable when it focuses on what it cannot control, and overthinking is exactly that, a war against your own imagination. Most people don't suffer because of events. They suffer because of the stories they create about those events. You replay conversations, analyze every detail, doubt every decision, and worry about every possible future. But none of this brings clarity. It only exhausts you. Epictetus taught that you should separate what you can control from what you can't. And the truth is simple, you cannot control every outcome, every reaction, or every prediction. But you can control your effort, your intention, and your focus. To eliminate overthinking, you must train your mind to return to the present moment. Not the past you can't change. Not the future you can't predict. But the now, the only place where life actually happens. Let go of the need to solve everything in your head. Choose clarity over chaos, action over rumination. When you remove overthinking, your mind becomes lighter, sharper, and far more powerful. Eliminate 3. Excuses. Excuses are the barriers we build between ourselves and the life we want. They feel comforting in the moment, they protect our ego, they justify our inaction, they make us believe we're not responsible for our current situation. But the Stoics were clear, you cannot grow while holding on to excuses. Every excuse is a story you tell yourself to avoid discomfort. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm too tired. It's not the right time. These things never work for me. All of these are chains, and every time you repeat them, you tighten the chains around your potential. Epictetus taught that the biggest prison is the one we build with our own thoughts. And excuses are the most common form of mental imprisonment. They make you believe you have no control when, in reality, you have more control than you think. A Stoic chooses responsibility over excuses. He chooses discipline over comfort. He chooses to act, even when it's difficult, even when it's not perfect, even when motivation is low. Removing excuses doesn't mean forcing yourself to be perfect. It means refusing to let your mind sabotage your future. Once you eliminate excuses, even small actions begin to change your entire life. Eliminate 4. Comparison with others. One of the greatest sources of insecurity and unhappiness today is comparing yourself to others. You compare your life to someone's highlight reel, your progress to someone's peak moment, your beginning to someone's mastery. But the Stoics taught that comparison is a trap that steals your peace and blinds you to your own path. When you constantly look at others, you stop seeing yourself. You stop noticing your growth, your discipline, your small achievements, your unique strengths. You judge your life through the lens of external standards instead of your own inner values. Marcus Aurelius reminded us. You have power over your mind, not outside events. And the lives of other people are outside your control. So why give them power over your self-worth? Comparison creates envy, jealousy, frustration, and impatience. It convinces you that you are behind, even when you're exactly where you need to be. It distracts you from the one thing that actually matters, your own progress. A Stoic focuses on becoming better than he was yesterday, not better than someone else today. Your journey is unique. Your pace is yours. Your destiny is yours. Eliminate comparison, and you reclaim your confidence, your direction, and your peace. Eliminate 5. Negative self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes the way you live. Most people don't realize that their inner voice is their first mentor, or their first enemy. When your mind constantly repeats, "I'm not good enough. I always fail. Nothing will change," you begin to believe it, and your actions follow that belief. The Stoics understood that suffering often comes not from the world, but from the dialogue we create inside our own mind. A harsh inner voice becomes a prison. A disciplined inner voice becomes a guide. Negative self-talk slowly destroys confidence, courage, and ambition. It convinces you that you're powerless, even when you're capable. It keeps you stuck in fear when action is the only thing you need. But here is the truth. You would never speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself on your worst days. So why do you allow that voice to dominate your mind? The Stoic approach is simple. Challenge the thought, not yourself. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "I failed" with "I'm improving." Replace "I'm weak" with "I'm becoming stronger." When you eliminate negative self-talk, you eliminate the fog that covers your potential. Your mind becomes clearer, calmer, and far more powerful. Eliminate 6. The need for external validation. One of the most draining habits is constantly seeking approval from others. You wait for people to validate your choices, your appearance, your goals, your achievements, as if their opinion determines your worth. But the Stoics taught that the more you depend on external praise, the less free you become. When your happiness is tied to what others think, you lose control of your own life. You begin to shape your identity around expectations, trends, and judgments that have nothing to do with your true self. You fear criticism, you fear disappointing others, and eventually, you fear being yourself. Epictetus reminded us that no one can make you feel inferior unless you give them permission. Approval is temporary. Validation is unstable. But self-respect, that is permanent. When you stop chasing validation, something powerful happens. You start doing things because they align with your values, not because they impress others. You choose goals that matter to you. You act with confidence instead of insecurity. A Stoic doesn't live for applause. He lives for purpose. And when your purpose becomes stronger than your need for approval, you become unstoppable. Eliminate the need for validation, and you reclaim your authenticity and your inner power. Eliminate 7. Procrastination. Procrastination is not laziness, it is a silent form of self-sabotage. You know what you should do. You feel the weight of your responsibilities, your dreams, your goals. But you delay, you hesitate, you wait for the perfect moment, a moment that never comes. The Stoics warned that time is our most precious resource, and yet, we waste the most of it by postponing the actions that would improve our lives. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you are giving away a piece of your future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." In other words, stop waiting. Start living. Procrastination creates stress, anxiety, guilt, and regret. It turns small tasks into mountains. It steals clarity and replaces it with frustration. But action, even small action, creates momentum, confidence, and freedom. A Stoic doesn't wait to feel motivated. He acts because it is the right thing to do, because it aligns with discipline, and because progress requires movement. Eliminate procrastination by breaking tasks into simple actions, starting immediately, and trusting that consistent effort transforms everything. When you remove delay, you remove half the obstacles in your life. Eliminate 8. The fear of judgment. The fear of judgment is one of the biggest obstacles to personal freedom. You hold back your ideas, your talents, your ambitions, not because you doubt them, but because you fear what others might say. But the Stoics taught that other people's opinions are outside your control, and therefore should not govern your life. Most people judge you from their own limitations, insecurities, and biases, not from truth. Their criticism is often a reflection of their inner world, not your value. So why let their voices shape your destiny? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily. They will judge you anyway. And he was right. No matter what you do, someone will misunderstand, dislike, or criticize it. That is simply human nature. The fear of judgment paralyzes your potential. It makes you small when you should be growing. It makes you silent when you should speak. It makes you fit in when you were meant to stand out. The Stoic way is this. Act according to your principles, not opinions. Do what is honorable, what is meaningful, what is aligned with your values. Let others talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them gossip. Your purpose is stronger than their noise. Eliminate the fear of judgment, and you unlock the freedom to live boldly, authentically, and fully. Eliminate 9. Clutter, mental and physical. Clutter is not just the mess on your desk or in your room, it's the chaos that fills your mind. The Stoics believe that a cluttered environment creates a cluttered soul. Every unnecessary object, every unfinished task, every open loop in your mind drains a little bit of your energy. Physical clutter distracts you. Mental clutter overwhelms you. Together, they suffocate your clarity and dilute your focus. You tell yourself you'll clean later. You'll organize later. You'll simplify later. But every day you wait, the weight grows heavier. Marcus Aurelius emphasized simplicity as a virtue. Not minimalism as an aesthetic, but minimalism as a way to protect your peace. The less you own, the less owns you. The fewer mental distractions you carry, the more space you have to think. Clearing clutter is an act of self-respect. It says, "My mind deserves space. My life deserves order." Start small. One drawer. One folder. One thought you choose to let go of. With each removal, you regain energy, confidence, and direction. Eliminate clutter, and you eliminate the invisible burdens that slow your growth. Eliminate 10. Gossip. Gossip is one of the lowest forms of communication. It feeds insecurity, spreads negativity, and corrupts character. The Stoics warned that speaking about others behind their backs is a sign of an undisciplined mind, a mind focused on what does not concern it. When you gossip, you waste your time on stories that are irrelevant to your growth. You judge people you barely know. You create problems that were never yours. And worst of all, you train your mind to look for flaws instead of solutions. Epictetus said, If it's not your business, do not concern yourself with it. And gossip is exactly that, other people's business, not yours. Gossip weakens your integrity. It makes you unreliable. It attracts drama into your life, the same drama you try so hard to avoid. And remember, people who gossip to you, also gossip about you. A Stoic protects his energy by protecting his words. He speaks with intention, not impulse. He chooses conversations that elevate, educate, or inspire, not conversations that destroy. Eliminating gossip doesn't only make your character stronger, it makes your life quieter, lighter, and far more peaceful. Eliminate 11. Overthinking. Overthinking is the art of creating problems that don't exist. It drains your energy, confuses your judgment, and traps you in a cycle of worry, doubt, and fear. The Stoics warn that the mind becomes its own enemy when it refuses to stay in the present moment. You replay conversations that are already over. You imagine outcomes that will never happen. You create scenarios in your head that steal your peace without giving you anything in return. Overthinking feels like control, but it's actually the opposite. The more you think, the less you act. The more you analyze, the more you paralyze yourself. And life moves forward while you remain stuck in hesitation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't let your mind be a slave to things you can't control." And most of what you overthink is exactly that. Things you cannot control. A Stoic focuses on what he can do right now, the action he can take, the choice he can make, the step he can move forward. Clear action defeats chaotic thinking. To eliminate overthinking, practice simplicity. Focus on the present task. Break decisions into small steps. Accept uncertainty as part of life. Act before fear grows stronger. Your mind becomes calmer when you stop trying to predict everything and start trusting your ability to handle anything. Eliminate 12. Excuses. Excuses are the stories you tell yourself to avoid responsibility. They feel comfortable, they feel protective, but they quietly destroy your potential. The Stoics believe that nothing blocks a person's growth more than the refusal to take ownership of their actions. Excuses sound like, "I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. I don't have time. It's not the right moment." But behind every excuse is fear, fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of effort, fear of change. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to get up and do what needs to be done. Not because he felt motivated, but because discipline is stronger than feelings. Excuses weaken your character. They keep you in the same place while life moves forward without you. They convince you that progress is impossible, when in reality, you simply haven't committed. A Stoic takes action even when it's difficult. He accepts responsibility fully, for his choices, his habits, his results. He doesn't hide behind excuses, because he knows every excuse is a barrier he built himself. Eliminate excuses, and you eliminate the invisible chains that hold you back. Your life becomes lighter. Your goals become clearer. Your actions finally align with your ambitions. Conclusion: the Stoic path to freedom. Freedom is not something the world gives you, it is something you build from the inside out. And every item on this list, every toxic habit you remove, every unnecessary weight you drop, brings you one step closer to the life you were meant to live. Most people try to improve their lives by adding more. More routines. More goals. More advice. More noise. More hacks. But the Stoics understood the opposite truth. You become powerful not by adding, but by eliminating. When you remove toxic people, you protect your energy. When you remove distractions, you sharpen your focus. When you remove excuses, you unlock discipline. When you remove fear, you unleash your potential. The life you want is already within reach, it's simply buried under layers of habits, doubts, and attachments that are not truly yours. Every elimination is an act of liberation. Remember, you don't control the world. You don't control events. You don't control other people. But you always control what you allow to remain in your life. The Stoic path is simple. Remove what weakens you. Keep what strengthens you. And walk forward with clarity and courage. If you commit to eliminating these 12 things, even slowly, even imperfectly, your life will transform in ways you cannot imagine. You will think more clearly. You will live more peacefully. You will act more boldly. And you will finally feel something rare in this world, inner freedom. Because the less you carry, the further you can go.